Hey guys, welcome back to the Nerditude Movie Podcast. It's been a minute. I'm here with Matt and Alex,
Hi.
and we're
Hello,
back
everybody.
to our two movie reviews. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the live show, and the one shot we are putting out, which I believe that'll probably be out before this
We're
episode is
we're
out.
recording Friday. It'll be out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Saturday.
Um, So, new year, same us. That's going to be our tagline for the year.
The first
Uh,
quarter of 2021. New Year, same us.
People know that we're a professional podcast, so now we need to push New Year, same
Yeah.
us.
Those assholes
Yeah.
ain't changing.
But yeah, we have a lot of cool stuff planned for this year. We have a lot of cool stuff we want to try out. And we're going to continue to do the live shows. We want them to be a bit more laid back and relaxed. So every live show we won't be doing like movie reviews
A
specifically.
little more interactive
We
too.
might
Yeah.
do some unique stuff here and there. I would love to do more table reads personally.
Yes,
Um,
yes. You tell me what you want to do. I'll make it fucking happen, including shitty descriptions. Believe me, I loved that, and they loved it too. In fact, I'm just gonna say this: January 30th, where I think we're doing potentially a live episode. We do have to see, but if we do, I think we should figure out a read to do.
Okay.
I think we
I'm
should.
sure there's some other unique scripts that we can pull from.
Oh. Well, I think maybe this time instead of doing it out of spite and how much Alex hates Daniel Baldwin, we'll do it for scenes that we actually enjoy. But this time, we got to get into the characters a little more.
Okay.
Not just read it. We're gonna act these out. New Year, same us, but better.
I thought I did a little bit of acting.
No, you basically just read.
A little bit.
I did. I was over here like acting my heart out. Then Hollywood didn't come a knocking.
Hey, one of the pluses for me is I get to have my drink on the 30th.
Hoorah!
Oh shit! Yeah.
So that'll be a really fun live episode.
Alex is gonna make it through the intro, and that's it.
Auto.
He'll be me from the Lost episode.
I'm gonna have the table sideways and shit. My new fucking setup's gonna be all
I was
gone.
gonna say, as
Oh,
long as you don't
God.
spill
I got
your
the
drink
Premium
all
Plus.
over the new
Oh.
PC.
I've got Premium Plus.
Yeah, and then you call them and they're like, "Yeah, it doesn't cover beer damage, dipshit." And you're like, "Oh man, fuck."
But what
right.
happened was,
You see, sorry, Lewis. There's a movie we're supposed to be talking about.
So for this week, we got two pretty cool movies, pretty unique movies. First one's called VFW, and the second one is called Fatman. So
My
we'll start with
life story.
well, technically, this is another Matt curated week because VFW I had seen like the title card on Shudder, but I didn't actually check it out till Matt had showed or told me to check out the trailer.
yeah,
And Fat Man, I swear to God, every time we talked about movies, Matt was like, "Dude, we gotta review Fat Man." And
any little meeting we had or anything, it was always brought up.
and we'll get into Fat Man, but I think we can all say it was not what we expected it would be.
No,
But it was awesome.
It's not what the media.
It's not what it was marketed as.
Yeah. The way it was marketed, the way that every reviewer, oh, the carnage. They made it seem like it was Lethal Weapon with Santa, and it's a much more dramatic tale. It's a much more, emotional tale than they really put it out there to be. And we'll go into it, but it's a much different movie than I think any of us thought it would be.
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll start off with VFW. So this movie premiered on Shudder. However, it was released briefly in theaters in Austin, Texas for Fantastic Fest last year.
Which I would have been, if I'd have been in their audience for that, seeing this movie, I'd have been really like, awesome, dude. Like, that was a great movie. I'm glad I did this.
Yeah, so this came out in Fantastic Fest. It aired in 2019. Just came out recently in the States on Shudder. And another thing I want to point out, this is distributed by RLJE Films. They do a lot of Shudder's production and distribution. So
Okay.
like that's why a lot of their films from that company usually premiere on Shudder exclusively, and they have a lot of cool shit. But yeah, so this movie premiered this year on Shudder. Runtime for this is 92 minutes. I couldn't find a box office or budget because it's VOD. This was directed by Joe Begos. Begos is his name. I don't think he's done anything really big.
Joe Bagels.
Joe Begos. The cast for this movie is awesome. So you have Stephen Lang as Fred Paris, and Stephen Lang, he's been in a lot of cool shit. Like when I think of him, I think Tombstone, obviously.
Yeah.
He's in a horror movie called Don't Breathe. I don't know if any
Yep.
of you guys have seen this movie.
Still haven't seen that one yet.
It's a creepy movie. There's some weird scenes in that movie.
I really like that movie.
They're making a sequel.
Yeah, I saw. My problem with that movie, though, is the beginning is the typical setup. The middle's really cool. Then there's a section between the middle and towards the end where it completely slows. And then the ending is a great ending. Like, I don't know. I have to watch it again, because maybe I just watch it on an off night. But I remember thinking in the beginning of the movie, like, I really like this. And then by the ending of it, I was like, okay. I don't know. But it is good. It is a good movie. It's especially.
So he was one of the
considering-
Clayton.
What?
He was one of the Claytons in Tombstone. Clayton.
Yeah. He was trying to remember one of his lines that he had. He was the one that always kind of seemed like he wanted to prove himself against Wyatt, but wasn't itching for the fight, I think. Or maybe he was the one that was all in. I don't know. But yeah, he's definitely in it. I just watched it not so long ago. He's one of those
he's
off characters that's not predominant, but he's a murderer in it.
Okay.
He's been in so much shit. I mean, obviously, people think of Avatard, as I like to call it.
That movie, The
Fucking
Hard Way.
close.
The Hard Way with Michael J. Fox and James Woods. He's the bad guy in that movie.
Okay. Yeah. I remember you were talking about that.
Yeah.
Although when I look at Stephen Lang, like especially in the picture with the beard behind Alex, and in a lot of his pictures, like when he's not in films with his beard, I can't help but thinking like he would have made a cool like Old Man Logan.
Yeah. I always thought he would have been, if he would have been around for it, if, like, let's say they would have done the Bishop movie or included Bishop 10 or 15 years ago. Because, I mean, look at him in Avatar. The dude's 50 in Avatar, and look how he's guile jacked. So, like, if they would have done Bishop sooner, I would have loved to see him as Bishop.
Damn, that would have been awesome. All right, who else? William Sadler as Walter Reed.
Walter.
William Sadler has been in so many cool movies, but my favorite movie he's in is Demon Knight from Tales from the Crypt.
Yes.
Also, that's one of the 3 movies that Billy Zane has been in.
Yep.
So,
By the way, one of fuck Titanic. Demon Knight is Billy Zane's best movie. He's the best in it.
Can we sometime
Yeah.
down the road, doesn't have to be this year, do an episode where we review the only 3 movies that Billy Zane has been in?
Titanic, Demon
The
Knight,
Phantom.
and oh god, yeah.
And Demon Knight.
We'll do a
Was he in the Rocketeer?
No, he was only in 3 movies.
Okay.
I think someone who looked like him was in Rocketeer, but that's a good movie
Wait,
too.
but he's in Sniper. Can we extend it to 4? He's pretty predominant in Sniper.
Can you pay to modify someone's IMDb credits?
I think anybody can edit that shit as long as you have the pro account.
Yeah.
So I posted on Facebook, on the Nerditude Facebook, about VFW. And I literally wrote, this is the cast, according to Matt, at, does it say what time? No, this is like, I think 1 a.m. Ultraviolet, Hobo with a Shotgun Atmosphere score, actors who have played major villain roles in 1980s movies. And this is how terrible I am. Stephen Lang, Norm from Cheers, bad guy Cobra Kai leader, parentheses, Martin something, I think it's Kreese, William Adler, Die Hard 2 villain, the short bad guy from Commando and The Crow and The Longest Yard as well, parentheses, fire it up, older black dude from Dusk Till Dawn. That is how I describe who is in movies, people.
Oh boy.
And we'll go with that for the cast. I do want to point out, I didn't know George Wendt, Cheers fat guy dude. Well, for one, I thought he was dead. He's not.
No. Still alive.
Two, I didn't know his nephew is Jason Sudeikis.
Is it really?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Poor Jason Sudeikis.
Yeah.
He's got to watch Olivia Wilde with that fuckboy Harry Styles walk around. And people have literally interviewed him, and he's literally been like, I really just hope it's a fad, and we'll get back together at some point. You gotta feel bad for the dude. I hope he's joking, but if not, if he's not joking, I just imagine he's just sitting around like his house, like
Just doing blow.
like sniffing pillows and like, I miss her. And blow. Lots of blow.
There's a whole closet of her clothes
Yeah, he's
unwashed. I don't know what happened to them. I put them all in the box. The movers must have did something.
Yeah. And then he after she leaves, she's like, "Oh, God damn it," and drives off. He slowly walks up his stairs of his house and kneels below his bed and pulls out a box and
Lays it out nicely on the bed. And,
like she
in the
died
shape
in
of
a
person.
tragic car wreck or something. Like, she's still here with me. I sleep with her. Jason Sudeikis is fucking crazy. Wow, we really got into this.
So,
Alex, go ahead.
No, I was going to say something about the guy who plays, I believe it's Boz. Is that the lead villain guy? Boz?
I thought
Boz.
I recognized him, but I didn't look into him.
At first look, I thought it was like a young Bill Paxton.
Oh gosh, no.
And then when I saw him again, he looked like Elliot from E.T.
Kind of, yeah.
You know, in his older version.
Like him in this movie looks like this is what he does on the weekend, and then Monday through Friday 9 to 5, he's like a paper boy or like a mail delivery dude in like an office where he's got like a shitty shirt and tie on all day, you know. Take your piercings out.
Take the eyeliner off.
Yeah.
I'm in a band.
Like his boss is just like, McCronkey, take that fucking piercing out. And he's like, I hate this fucking job. You know, like that type thing.
So Matt, you pointed this movie out to us, so I'll let you jump in first. Because I like this movie just screams Matt all over it. It's like old dudes, VFW.
Old military dudes. And here's the problem with... I'm sorry to cut you off. But the problem with this movie is that there's no story to it. It's literally old friends who are all in the military together at one point or other, go to a friend's local bar, which is also the VFW hall, and across the street is a rave full of drug-addicted psychopathic zombie people, apparently. That are before these old dudes show up to the bar and this girl comes and steals the money, they're just glow sticking the whole night. They don't give a fuck about nothing. And then all of a sudden, and by the way, they kill off this girl in the beginning of the movie, which is the catalyst for her sister, I guess is who it is.
Sister, yep.
Steals all their drugs, basically. That's the premise. Old dudes are all trying to hang out in the. And here's the thing. I know, Alex, you said it with their slow parts, but to me, if you thought the beginning was slow, then you missed some of the best dialogue in the movie. If you fell asleep through it or you didn't pay attention. Because it's literally these guys from 80s and 90s movies that I love riffing on each other. So for me, like, that's why when you had said you felt it would, like, it's like, you literally, like, the only dialogue that's worth two shits is the beginning of the movie, and you fell asleep through it.
Yeah.
But.
Sorry.
Why does Martin Cove in your picture look like his face is, like, crinkling and about to fall off?
It's also his audition for Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
But that's my biggest problem with the movie is there's not much story. The idea being these guys are in a bar, this random cult basically who's a drug addicted cult. Their leader is such an evil prick. He literally lets the one girl kill herself with a crazy splat, by the way, for that height. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah.
Once again, this movie is ultraviolet. If you've seen
Pure Fangoria.
Yeah. If you've seen Hobo with a shotgun, very much that atmosphere, very much that level of gore, that level of physical, no CGI violence.
Is Fangoria even a thing anymore? Do they still have the magazine or website or anything?
I don't know, to be honest. I know they haven't produced a movie in fucking ever.
I believe Fangoria is still around.
Well, isn't this one kind of produced by them? Because it said really big Fangoria when it opens.
Yeah, it's produced. Fangoria's produced a bunch of cool shit. I think they've also done. I think they had a hand in the VHS films, if I'm
Really?
Okay.
correct.
That's cool.
Let me see. Yeah, they've been doing a bunch of production shit.
I never subscribed to their magazine, but I always thought it was a cool magazine.
When we used to work at Blockbuster, I used to get them for free.
Yeah, that is the only time I'd ever get them. But I don't remember
Hey.
us stocking Fangoria for that long, though.
Oh no, it was way before your time.
I was gonna say, like, I remember.
Yeah.
I think when I first started, I might have got it, but we pushed that out, and we ended up getting like Us Weekly and Teen People, and fucking.
Those are horror magazines.
popular.
So
popular dipshit culture monthly.
You were saying that there was like no story, to the movie, but it says it at the beginning. It's just those couple paragraphs that started off. It says, as Americans opioid crisis worsens, addicts turn to a new drug. What is it called?
Hype.
It's
Hypophedrine.
basically the same shit from
Street
Dread.
name Hype. Yeah. Cities become war zones. Neighborhoods crumble. Law enforcement's retreat.
Yeah.
With what does it say? With dealers struggling to meet demand, hypers, that's what they call their little crackheads, resort to any means necessary to get their fix.
Yeah, but I mean, if what you're supposed to be is your entire story can be crammed into a paragraph, there's no story.
But I did like the opening. I did like how the music started. I like how it did that.
It's very much like RoboCop in the storyline of just like the city's been overrun by crime and drugs, and the cops are RoboCop. They're on strike or they're dying one by one.
Mm-hmm.
In this, they've basically just said fuck it and abandoned the city, which makes this group of old men even more badass for getting together just to go get a drink together. Like, think about it. These old dudes are going out in this war-torn city, basically, to just go get a drink with their military buddies. It makes them even cooler.
Yeah, and one thing I like about it, especially the way it's filmed, it's got this grindhouse, grainy texture, with the ultra violence. Yeah,
the blue tint filter in the bar.
The entire movie looks like it was like guerrilla shot though. Like they found a location. They had two buildings that were right across the street from each other that are probably going to be torn down in 2 days. So they had 26 hours to get out there and film all this shit really fast.
I feel like it was a set, to be honest with you.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it might not have been. It might just have been. I don't know where they filmed it, though, either. I feel like Canada, but that's just instinctual. But
Yeah.
it also feels kind of, I felt it was a set because it's, I don't know. Because the only exteriors you really get are like the parking lot, and then there's some driving stuff that is clearly not a set. So.
And the outside of the movie theater.
But they don't, do they name what town it is?
I didn't see.
I don't think they say it.
Yeah, I don't think so. I thought it was like an LA or Detroit type of inspired city.
Can we talk about some of the fucking kills in this movie?
Yes, that shotgun. Right, the first one that got me to go whoa was the shotgun to the head point blank, and it just.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that one got me where I was like hobo with a shotgun. That was the level of violence in hobo with a shotgun. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, and yeah, no, go ahead, please.
Well, so I guess one thing to point out too, because of the drug they're on. This movie has like a cool play on zombies with the way that a lot of crackheads act, and there's clearly the members of the gang that are like not on hype to the point to where they're like rabid zombies.
The ones who control everything, and the underlings who aren't like. You can see all their underlings though are at that point of like they can still function, but a little bit more hype, and they're gonna go.
Yeah. No, I think one of my favorite. I guess we could jump everywhere with the kills.
I'm tired of spoiler free. We're gonna do them how we want and say what we want.
No, he's talking about linear, like going in order.
No.
Yeah.
Do away.
So William Sadler's character grabs a hand circulating saw, and there's a scene where he opens the door and he goes out there, and like the zombie dudes are literally just standing there, not really moving.
So claustrophobic in that scene.
and he just immediately turns it on and just jumps and starts hacking them. Like, this movie has a lot of scenes, even in the beginning, like when the first kill for the VFW guys, one of the guys tries to break in. Stephen Lang slams the door and just is hacking at this dude's fucking arm.
Yeah.
And you're just immediately like, holy shit.
Yeah,
so that's what the rest of this movie is going to be
what
like.
the fuck did Matt recommend me? Yeah. I had that
And
feeling
then,
too, where I was just like, whoa, I'm liking where this is going.
When he's stomping on the guy's head, and he's just stomping and stomping, and you're seeing like the head's gone. It's just blood.
Yeah, it's a
and
puddle.
He's still stomping. And then he spits, and you see it spit on the camera, and he's like supposed to be on the guy's face.
I do agree with Alex, though. There are moments where this movie like stops and is slow, but in my head I'm also like, the name is VFW. Like, these dudes aren't Jet Li. Like, and there's scenes where like Stephen Lang and all of them, like, they're beat down to shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they need a moment. Like, they can't just keep going. Stephen Lang gets shot, I think, in the leg early in the fucking movie.
And he gets stabbed, doesn't he?
Or
sliced, or stabbed, I think. Here's the thing. My opinion: the slow scenes in this movie are when you're dealing with the drug leaders. Any scene where they're talking in their lair, I kind of zoned out a little bit. I'll give you that. Like, I had no interest in the villains of the movie because they didn't entertain me.
No.
Like, the entertaining part of this movie is the VFW hall, and when you think about it, for these old military guys, it's really kind of the Alamo. That's the last bastion.
They even make a reference to that.
And that's the thing is, one of the things I loved is
they all died there.
No, but we love buddy comedies. Yeah. But we love buddy comedies, and throughout this movie, they're throwing one-liners at each other. Fucking Martin Kreese and Adler, as they're killing, they're counting down how many they've got killed. Like, there's a lot of buddy movie charm, and like, I don't know, maybe it's just because they acted it well, but there wasn't 1 second I didn't believe these were all old friends.
Real quick, are you combining the names, or because it's Martin Cove?
Oh, is it Martin?
Kyle Kreese is his character.
I literally did just basically, I took the last name from So Martin
grabbed his
Kreese
first
and
name
Adler,
and added his last name.
From now on, I'm not even going to learn his Cove. It's out of my mind. He is Martin Kreese. I did say Martin something in parentheses. So
I agree with Matt. The acting between Lang, Sadler, Cove, even Cove, who's kind of like a dipshit, like they all just seem like just dudes who just know each other. They've been through shit.
And they're all from different eras of war too.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, three of them served together. The older Lang, Adler, and Cove. But the black guys are with them too, right?
The younger ones are from Nam, and the oldest one was in Korea. What is it? What did they say? Korea.
Korea was 50s, yeah.
Yeah. So whoever was the oldest, that might have been Doug.
Was it the stoner?
Yeah, it might have been Doug.
Yeah, because the one who dies. The other guys all served together.
Yeah, the Warriors guy that you were calling.
Yeah.
From The Crow.
Yeah,
the bad guy.
Yeah, but the other four, like Kreese, Lang,
they were all in Nam together.
They were in Nam together, yeah. Which, once again, it's a soft spot of mine anytime characters were from fucking Nam, because you watch any action movie in the 80s, and every character was a Nam vet. Look at Lethal Weapon. The entire first movie is nothing. The bad guys are Nam vets. The good guys are Nam vets. Not the cops that you don't even see that are written in the movie. They're written as policemen, former Nam vets. Like, everybody in it is a Nam vet.
Well, and so the bad guys in this movie they're forgettable. All the scenes actually in the VFW bar are memorable, and I do like that. There are the slow scenes where it seems like the hype zombies are attacking in waves, and every time the VFW guys get a chance to catch their breath, they're going back and checking on Doug, who's fucking dying. Like, they're checking on each other. Like, you get a sense that their camaraderie and their friendship, like, it's all they have essentially.
What was the movie we reviewed a while back? The vampire one with the boat.
Oh, Blood Vessel.
Blood Vessel.
Blood Vessel.
The way that spread it kind of is how these characters the hypes what do they call the hypers? That, like how there's veins popping out, the black veins going up their face and stuff.
Yeah. See, my problem with this movie is the villains are as threatening as the villains from Paul Blart. That was the feeling I got from them when they were basically just like Paul Blart villains.
You didn't think Gutter with that amazing name was like an amazing person?
No, the villains, I feel like whoever wrote the movie was like, well, I really like RoboCop 3, and they wrote villains based upon that sort of like. The once again, this is a movie where the styling doesn't make sense, the characters' looks don't make sense, the area that these characters are coming out of doesn't make sense. That's why, to me, like the story is, I just throw it away. I'm watching.
At least they had dialogue. At least they actually had dialogue.
You have a movie where everyone pictured behind Alex, Sadler, Lang, Cove, Williamson would all make better villains than the villains in this movie.
Oh, have made better villains. Not have made better villains than the villains in this movie. Twice, some of them. I mean, Lang's been a villain in several fucking movies, including Avatar.
And Mr. Martin Reese, as you call it,
Reese, get it right. If you're gonna fuck it up, do it right.
He's playing a villain right now.
Oh yeah,
Cobra Kai.
I got that's that in the goddamn Office. That and Mandalorian, dude. It's still in the first season of both of those, and rather than watching that, the wife and I decided we're gonna watch The Office again. So here we are.
How many times now?
Balls deep in Office for the 5th or 6th time.
So because I have Matt's Voodoo login, I had a rough, shitty week because of a family emergency. So I've been watching the Daniel Craig James Bond movies, but every time I go and log on Voodoo, like within the same day or something, I could see the most recently watched things.
Yeah,
and you guys are just burning through The Office like crazy.
Yeah. It is
because every check you're like 2, 3, 4 episodes ahead.
Dude, The Office is it's our comfort food. Like I'm not even joking when I say this. The Office throws me through in a goddamn emotional roller coaster. It's like I said the other day. I think Alex and I were talking on stream. The Office is like your best friend moves into town.
Yeah.
And just as you're really enjoying the time, you're in the swing of it, Michael fucking Scott leaves. And then right around the corner is the end of the show. And every time we watch it, I go through this cycle of like, I love this show, and we get deep into it. Like literally, we will throw it on, watch it, play Animal Crossing Mobile, and just talk, and it is our comfort food show. But every time we finish it, it leaves a goddamn hole where it's like, well, what do I do with my life now? You know, and realistically, we just watched the fucking thing 4 months ago.
You gotta go dig yourself a 2-foot hole and go stand halfway in it.
That's what
I've already been married, sir.
We got to the point where we just have it on in the background sometimes.
Yeah, it's great because we've seen it so many times. There's not a single fucking thing in the show that's going to surprise us, but it's really nice to have. And like, we're playing Animal Crossing mainly mobile, so it's not exactly the most interactive fucking game. Like, I'm not playing a first-person shooter, so it allows me time to watch some TV, and we, like I said, we just blow through it. We did the same thing with How I Met Your Mother. When we get focused in a show, like it's the only thing we do. And like we did that. There was a period where Jen was unemployed, and we were both unemployed at the same time for like 2 months, and we blew through 15 seasons of Hell's Kitchen.
Jesus Christ!
Every season came available on Amazon, unedited, and we fucking blew through it. Yeah, when we focus, we're like idiot savants, man. We're.
I know we're on a tangent, but you do know there's going to be a reunion episode of The Office, right?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, dude. Like, here's the thing: is like,
is it going to be on the Peacock Network?
Yeah, we will do our Office episode pretty soon. I'm not gonna lie; that's going to be within the next month or so. I'm thinking
that'll be Valentine episode.
No, not Valentine episode, but
I kid.
February wouldn't be a bad month for it. Wow, what was my fucking point? But no, I'm one of those people that loved season 9. I loved after Michael Scott was gone. I didn't feel the quality deterred at all. I liked the fact that each main character got their own Michael Scott cringe moments. They explored the relationship between Jim and Dwight more, to where you finally saw for the first time in 8 seasons of show that Jim and Dwight, underneath it all, loved each other like brothers, and that relationship was really tight. One thing I don't like about that last season is the Jim and Pam angle where they're kind of pulling apart from each other. That whole thing's a little rough to watch, but I don't feel that show had a bad season. Did they have bad episodes where it just kind of drags on? Yeah, the entire first fucking season was slow.
Yeah.
Let's be real. But it's 6 episodes. But the truth of it is that I don't know. There's not a single, like, people will want to trash it because Michael Scott left, and I don't think the show lost quality at all. I think it just diverted the attention.
Yeah, I agree. I liked the end seasons as well.
Lewis
And
says a little
the
bit
first
bubbly.
James Spader wasn't that bad. I liked him.
I loved
The
him.
only
I
thing
thought
is-
he was funny as shit.
I was like, I've had a couple people that have never seen The Office, and I've introduced him to him, and I just remind him, like, if you've never watched it, get through the first season. The first season's rough.
Same thing, in my opinion, with Parks and Rec. Jen and I watched the first season, and we stopped for like 4 months because I just didn't get into it. And then we were like, well, let's try it again, and we restarted it, and I powerhoused through the first season with her. After that, gold. Coincidentally, Parks and Rec is written by Michael Schur, a.k.a. Mose.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Michael Schur created Parks and Rec. He's one of the original writers and producers of The Office. He plays Mose. So Mose created Parks and Rec. All right, enough, because we are going to... here's the thing. When we do that episode, dude, it's going to be fucking ADD. 9 seasons of shit to talk about. ADD. That's all I'm going to say. So, VFW, there's not a whole lot to talk about as far as framing of it. You guys, we've already said that. But, for me, it's just... It hits several checkpoints. Like, it gets the... I love violent movies. Ever since I was a kid, watching everything from Total Recall to Terminator 2 to Commando, these abhorrently violent movies, Demolition Man, but and it hits that token. But my biggest thing is the buddy cop type banter between them, how they're all just a tight unit of friends.
Something I noticed that they did. I don't know if they did it for the other guys, but I caught it for 2 of them. They did a reference to the Karate Kid movies, calling him a snake.
Yes.
And then he hisses, and then what's his name, Williams? He did a reference where he was like, I used to buy buy toothpicks by the caseload, and that's another thing he was famous for in his movies, where he always had a toothpick.
Yeah.
I didn't catch the other guys if they had any references to their earlier.
Adler had a reference. I don't remember what it was though. He had one to a former movie he was in. Lang probably did. I'm gonna rewatch this. I'm gonna try to get the wife to watch it, although I don't think she'd like it. I really don't think she would. She wouldn't dig it, but we'll see if I can force her to watch it. Hey, honey, it's a family movie.
I think you like it.
But yeah, I mean, the meat of the movie is when the bar gets attacked and the dialogue between the guys, as they're getting attacked. And if you're, like I said, it quenches the violence thirst. If you watch the Christmas Live episode when we went over the Shudder holiday episode, the movie, they're very reminiscent of each other in the fact that basically the castle's getting stormed and they're defending against all odds. Unfortunately, VFW does not have a demonic Santa with blade arms. I was hoping that would appear, but I like this movie. It's one of those things where, like, I don't give 2 shits about spoilers, frankly. But to talk too much about it, you're giving away the entire movie.
Yeah, it's something I did like that they popped up after the whole beginning. Remember, I said I was slow and I kind of zoned in and out. There was a line that Mr. Norm said. He's like, "What in the cocksucking fuck just went on here?" Like the way he said that, I fucking started laughing so loud. Oh god.
Well, they try to, like, I like with Stephen Lang how he has that moment of disbelief where he's just like ready to give up, and then like he comes back out and he's soldiered up and he's like, telling him, "You need to do this." He turns back into sergeant or whatever his rank was.
Well, he gets a pep talk from Lizard of all people.
Yeah, true.
But
Yeah.
I could have did with somebody else playing Lizard.
Yeah.
But yeah, because to have that pep talk coming from Lizard like that, I was like, huh?
Yeah, and the whole angle about the young soldier in there just trying to get home, I don't know, man. I feel like, considering he was a main character, he was the shallowest of the characters. There was nothing to his anything. It was just, I'm a soldier. Like, there's no, like, why he's there. There's no, like, how the fuck did you end up in this shithole? It's just kind of like...
Well, it is for veterans.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the city that's been abandoned by police and is overrun by drug addicts, how he ended up there.
Yeah. Did they touch on how Stephen Lang's character, like, he had some kind of post-traumatic, like PTSD, or like when he was looking at the vehicle, he has like this weird look on his face, like
I don't think. I don't think he has like officially. I don't know if they talk about it, but each one of
Okay.
them, they have kind of a
They
little bit of like
something.
that, like shell shock, like holy shit, I'm back in war. They
There was a
each,
little
yeah,
thing when he talks about the mud, and then he starts
yeah,
describing the different war zones and describes it wasn't mud, it was sand.
yeah, where she
It
was,
was
where she was like, what do you remember? And he's like, I remember the mud.
yeah.
Yeah, which is I. And,
Which
go ahead, sorry.
that's something that you should never ask a veteran what it was
Yeah,
like.
I was thinking that too.
Never,
Like,
never ask.
Grandpa, how many men did you kill?
well,
Yeah,
there's that scene in what is it, Walking Tall with The Rock, where he's like he just gets home, and I don't know if I think it's his nephew,
yeah.
and The Rock, of course, is shirtless, changing because he's The Rock, circa fucking 2003, and the kid's like, yeah, you ever kill anybody? And he just kind of looks at the kid. I'm sorry, but if I was in that position where I was in war and I come back home, I would just be like, you want to be next? Like, what the fuck you asking me about? Like,
Yeah.
let these guys live. Don't make them like. Think about something really traumatic for you. Would you like to have somebody come up to you and be like, "Hey, you remember that time? Well, how'd that work out?" Oh, that's right, mother died. Sorry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Excuse me.
it's the same shit. Some of these guys come back really fucked up because they see some atrocious shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they have to do something that they didn't
And
want to do that was kind of forced.
well, that's the central theme of this movie. All of these guys that were brought together initially by seeing atrocious shit.
Hmm.
And they're military, so they're all brothers in bonds. They all fought in Nam, which if they served together, you'd half imagine they got real close back then. So the true story, if you want to look at it that way, behind this, the elements is brotherhood. That's the
Yeah.
overarching kind of theme, and then everything else
Hmm.
goes bonkers from there.
And it's kind of a shame that they don't give the young private, like, they don't give you a reason to, like, a backstory to kind of care more about him, because you see immediately, even though these old dudes in common with him, there's immediately that camaraderie with him being, serving in the army.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty cool. Like, that they, it doesn't matter how young he is. Like, he's
Hmm.
serving. He's one of them.
Well, see, I'd like them to take this concept, right? You do a prequel where they're serving in Nam, but you don't do a straight up Nam movie. You do it to where they don't talk about it in this one at all, but there was a weird situation that happened with the four of them or whatever it was in Nam where they came across this ghost town or another weird, like kind of off center type storyline. So that way you connect it to the this version to where it's like this isn't the first time they've even dealt with, or you have it where they were pinned down together in
Yeah.
a Vietnamese town and they were on all angles. Like, I think you could take this, considering especially with like the ultra violence they want to put into it, and convert this into a prequel Vietnam movie with four younger actors, and it would work. Like, I would watch it. I'd
I
actually
know,
want to hear that story.
I know it's not Vietnam, but you're making me want to watch Overlord again, which is a fucking awesome movie.
Way better than fucking Blood Vessel.
Yeah.
My only complaints about Overlord is it takes too goddamn long to get moving.
Yeah, I can see that.
There's 45 50 minutes before, like, you get the one scene inside the house they go into, but then it's another 20 minutes before they leave the fucking house and finally venture into the factory. Like, there
So you're saying I'd be bored for about 20 minutes?
I think if you tried to watch Overlord, if your bladder wasn't keeping you up, you'd be sleepies.
Yeah.
It does have one of the coolest
There's
opening
moments of
war scenes, though.
Well, see that, and that's where Overlord gets it right. Is they successfully do a World War II movie and successfully do a horror movie. It's not a World War II horror movie. They took both genres, did both well, and then met each other with them. That's why that movie was so good, because it wasn't like, oh, this is a good war movie, but it's shitty on the scares or shitty on the sci-fi. And
Is this one of those Shutter exclusives?
no,
No,
no, it's
No,
it's
it's
on.
a-
I think it's on my Voodoo.
it's a script that almost got snagged and roped into Cloverfield and all their
Oh,
bullshit.
God damn that. No. I love the first Cloverfield. I love that movie. I really do. Everything else after that, I mean, don't get me wrong, 10 Cloverfield Lane is good, but it's not, I mean, I'm a popcorn flick guy. Give me fucking monsters destroying cities.
Well,
Like,
the problem with Cloverfield is Abrams and them wrote the first one, And then instead of actually writing sequels, they were just buying young people's scripts. So that's why you got 10 Cloverfield Lane. That's why you got Paradox.
Is that what happened with Star Wars as well?
Probably.
Is that what went wrong on that
I got
ship?
my Abrams lens flares going on.
Yeah, you're very. See, here's my thing. I like Abrams. I think Super 8's an amazing movie.
Oh, it's a great movie.
I love a lot. Most of everything Abrams has done, except for the last 2 seasons of Lost, I've loved.
Oh God, don't get me started with that
It's
fucking
just
waste of time.
You know, my mom and I watched that together, and she stopped like at season 3, and I kept going. And I remember her asking me like, "Well, what happens?" And I was like, "They were all dead. They were fucking dead."
Would you prefer that or the snow globe?
No, yeah, I would have taken. Yeah, you give me the autistic child's mind. I would have preferred over fucking. And they were all dead, man.
What was the name
Purgatory.
of that show?
Saint Elsewhere.
Saint Elsewhere.
Literally, the show ends where like Patrick Dempsey like he does a smile, and then this fucking kid is shaking a snow globe, and you'd find out that it was literally the entire show was in this snow globe, and the little boy was thinking about it as it was. It just now that's pissing me off. I didn't even watch the show. It's before my time, but you know what? I used to watch a lot of the VH1. Like I love the '90s, I love the '80s, and I would watch that, and they would go over it, and I remember seeing it there, like what? And then I Googled it, and I was like, this is how they ended. Like I thought Sopranos ending was bad, but holy fuck. All right. Any more we want to say about VFW?
No.
No, it's on Shudder. Shudder hands out free subscription months, weeks like candy. Fucking get it, check it out. There's a bunch of cool shit on Shudder.
Yeah, VFW very much worth it. Let's give it our numbers. I'm gonna go with 3 out of 5. I liked it, but I understand its shortcomings. Three Chicago dogs out of 5.
Yeah, I'd agree. Three hot dogs out of 5. It's it does some cool shit with the style of film that it is. It could have more story, but again, I mean, it's kind of what makes that movie what it is the fight scene in the bar, and essentially it's like they're like, this would be a cool scene and let's write a movie around it. That was probably how this movie came up.
This is the type of thing where I could see it being like a play first. You know what I mean? Like that's how the structure feels drafted.
But it's good. I mean, this is one of those movies where you don't need a fucking story. You want to turn it on and watch people get their hands and chopped off and
make some popcorn, light your crack pipe, fucking enjoy. It's a good movie. Well, it's good, but it's not. It's not.
Get you a nice bag of hype.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to find.
Alex, what about you?
How many dogs did you say you gave this?
3.
3. That's pretty much the same thing. No. As much as I said that I got bored at the beginning, I was waiting for the action to get going, and it reminded me of like old Fangoria movies. The shit like too much blood coming out, the head's fucking getting squished. You see blood everywhere, people's arms getting hacked off. I like that stuff.
Yeah.
I do have to say something before I go on. You missed an opportunity. You're wearing the Bears shirt, and Mr. Norm is in there, and he was also one of the Chicago guys.
Bear, yeah.
You forgot to hit yourself in the chest a couple times.
Da Bears. I'll give him the salute. Da Bears. Anyway, that's all he gets.
But like you said, there's no story to it that runs around. You don't really need anything to go for it. But I did have a couple problems with the villains, like you were saying, and that one kid, fucking Lizard. I don't know. I could have done with either without Lizard or somebody else playing Lizard.
The villains in the movie were just ludicrous. Like nobody would take them seriously. Like he literally looks like a goth kid that South Park would make fun of. The main villain. You know what I mean? Like the villains are completely throwaway. Those were the moments that I tuned out in this movie. Anytime he was doing that slow drawl talking. Anytime it's just like, fuck this guy out of this movie.
Yeah, I got it handled.
Yeah, I've got it. It's like, get out of here.
But one thing that seemed to me, as far as all the main guys, all the veterans, it seemed like there wasn't a lot of chemistry. Like I could have noticed, but maybe it was in the beginning of the dialogue, like you were saying.
See, that's not like that first like 10, 20 minutes is all them like bantering and riffing on each other. Because what they do is it's where like they walk in, and then the scene I like is where they all get to the bar. Because that whole scene is just basically like riff on you, riff on you, riff on you.
I did catch a lot of it. But what I'm saying is like it just seemed like it was all these actors that they got together and they filmed it like in a day. They didn't really work together. They got their script, and they came in. And these guys, they're all pretty good actors for like their movies that they've done. But it just felt like there wasn't anything for it. That's why I don't know. I'm still going with the three Chicago Dogs.
I will only in the assessment of the you didn't feel. I will disagree. I thought there was personally. I thought there was a decent chemistry.
Yeah.
I mean that's why But once again, if you're not, it's one of those movies where if you do throw it on in the background and you're not paying attention 100%, you're gonna miss those little like one-liners and those quips they throw at each other, which really is how they build the chemistry. That's to me at least, that's how they did it. So yeah, it is one of those movies where you don't have to put your thinking hat on, but if you're going to throw it around in the background, then you're basically just going to be like, yeah, it was an okay zombie movie, is how you would walk away from it.
My final thing on it, the one thing that excites the guy is to watch VHS of exercise workouts. What is the Jane Fonda videos or something?
Well, what was that movie? Oh, Dirty Work with Norm Macdonald and Arnie Lang.
That's a good movie.
The Pops he would be watching the like exercise TV show, and it's like, oh, he was the same father from the Problem Child movies, Uncle Ben.
Oh, the old man. Okay.
Yeah, and he's the father to Artie Lang in Dirty Work, and he's like literally sitting. He's like, get out of my way. He's like, oh, come on, and he would just watch him. I don't know why I thought it was. If you haven't seen Dirty Work. Directed by Bob Saget, written by Norm Macdonald. Go fucking watch it.
Oh, Bob Saget. It's got to be some fun words.
That's got the first on video cursing of Bob Saget, because at the end of it, oh no wait, maybe that's half baked. Never mind. Bob Saget's not in Dirty Work. He's in Half Baked. That's right. Half Baked is where he talks about sucking dick for cocaine. That's my favorite part in that movie, where he's just like Dave Chappelle's talking about weed addiction. And Bob Saget stands up and he's like, addiction? You ever suck dick for cocaine? I've sucked dick for cocaine. And then he just sits back down. Like basically telling him, like, you're not addicted, it's just weed. Stop
the first time I heard him go off is the Aristocrats.
That was also around the same time he came out with that You Ain't Right or It Ain't Right HBO special where the F word was like every. And it's disappointing because if you talk to him now, he regrets that special.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he's like, I don't even normally perform that dirty. It was just like a certain frame of mind I was in at that time, but yeah, I mean, but then he comes back to Fuller House as Danny Tanner.
Is that show still going?
I think it ended.
By the way, if you ever want to see an interesting documentary, I don't remember what the YouTube link was, but it's the short like 20, 25 minutes about the Full House pilot, and they literally had a original actor that wasn't Bob Saget, and they filmed the entire pilot, and then they filmed it again with Bob Saget and fired the other guy, and the original pilot never aired. The only way it hit YouTube and all that is it was on the Full House box set DVD special on season 1. There's the full unaired pilot, and it is literally shot for shot the same episode as the pilot with Bob Saget, so you could see how much better Bob Saget is in every fucking scene. And I watched this YouTube documentary about it. And literally, it's like this guy they had in there basically was Joey number 2. Like, he was Joey with Joey, stand-up comedian guy with kids. And they basically were like, well, we already have a stand-up comedian character, and we can't have two assholes doing the same fucking shtick. So then when Bob Saget came in, he was different entirely.
Did Joey get up there and say, come on, cut it out?
No, he was actually stabbing the guy in the stomach for taking his fucking role. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with you guys for the next review of Fatman.
Fatman.
All right, and on to the second movie of the night. Another movie curated by Matt, oddly enough, Fatman.
Stop calling me that.
I guess to start off, like this movie and all the trailers I had seen like Matt had alluded to earlier, kind of marketed as a, I don't know, like ultra violent. I don't know.
Action packed,
Yeah,
just 80s action movie, but with Santa.
Borderline horror.
but
Yeah,
even
almost.
like
Yeah.
so the Wikipedia credit puts this as a dark comedy action film,
Mm-hmm.
which I
Which is
guess
definitely a dark comedy, but it's more of a dark dramedy than anything. I mean, there's gunplay, so I guess if we're declaring gunplay as action, but
yeah,
I
and
don't see it as being. It's for me, it's more of a dark dramedy.
yeah, and again, we'll get
Yeah.
into it, but definitely this movie was not what I expected, and I liked it. So this movie came out November 13th, 2020. Runtime of 100 minutes. Budget was 20 million. Box office, what I could find is 1.3 million. Which
COVID.
is this movie falls under the unfortunate timely release of in a pandemic. Granted, this also came out on VOD, so they may still be able to recoup
Yeah.
what went into
I
it.
hope they do.
And
I want a sequel, and we'll discuss our Alex and I sequel idea later.
yeah, and it sucks because even before we get deep into this review, I like this movie, and to see like a filmmaker to be a filmmaker and like get this production out and for it to fall under unfortunate a pandemic for release kind of sucks. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
but with VOD success, hopefully this generates a following. Um, so this movie, it was written and directed by two brothers, SM Nelms and Ian Nelms, and I hope I'm saying your brother's name correctly. Um, Cast is pretty unique for this movie as well. So you have Mel Gibson as Kris Kringle.
But he's still
Um,
great.
Yeah.
He's still
Yeah.
a good fucking actor.
He is,
Even with
and
all them wrinkles, he's still.
He still kills it.
he's awesome. He's moved into like the, not in a crazy way, like the Nicolas Cage role of acting where he probably, like, this dude probably just does the projects he wants to do now, which
Yeah.
is
Oh,
awesome.
I'm pretty sure that he doesn't.
Because a lot of those young actors, they get tied on to other contracts and you see them in shitty movies, but like you get all these older dudes that we watched in buddy cop comedies and now they're just doing shit that they want to do. So you also have Walter Goggins as
Love Walton
Jonathan
Goggins.
Miller.
Walton Goggins.
He's
Walton.
good in
Walton
this.
Goggins,
Yes.
who surprisingly kind of steals the show in this movie for me. You have I don't want to butcher her name, Marianne Jean Baptiste.
Baptiste.
Yep.
Hopefully I said that right. She plays Ruth Kringle, who is also awesome in this movie.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. The greatest, I would argue, the greatest Mrs. Claus on film. I loved her in this movie.
The young boy Billy is played by Chance Hurstfield, and then you have another one of my favorite people in this movie, Elf Number 7, played by Eric Wolf. So we could just jump into this movie. Again, for me personally, I did not know really what to expect with this. Like I said, this is another one where the trailers kind of threw me off. And I'll let you guys jump in too, but me and Matt were talking off air. This movie kind of has a lot of emotion to it.
Yeah. Hell of a lot
like
more than the media gives it credit when they portray it and market it, that's for sure.
Exactly. I mean, I like normally when I find marketing for a movie and I go see the thing and it's not what I expected, usually I'm like kind of like, that sucks. But what I like about this movie is the plot is wacky. Santa Claus, is assisting the government because he's not bringing in money. But as wacky as the plot is between all the characters and their acting, like the movie takes itself very seriously.
Yeah.
And because of that, the story is pretty cool. Like even Goggins' character, who is hell bent on getting revenge. You even have small moments where he's killing people. He's he wants to get to Santa so bad. But you have small moments where, like, in the car, I believe it's with a hamster or something.
Yeah.
That he has that moment of like, oh, strap in, buddy. Hope you're okay. Like,
Well, not only that, but it goes from him having him in like his little box to like getting him another car box that's bigger, so he can run around and shit. You are right. They do explore his humanity. He's a psychopath for one thing, hell bent on getting to Santa, the guy who gave him coal, basically the same story as the kid who is the catalyst of the movie. But the scene I think of is when and we'll get into it, but when they kidnap the little girl, and when he lets her go, he's like, "Merry Christmas." Like, you see in him, it's like he's literally trying to connect with this little child he just kidnapped and threatened the life of. He's a complete psychopath, but he's still, they don't, and that's one of the things I think that isn't, every review I've read or heard of this movie doesn't discuss this, but the fact that Mel Gibson is Santa Claus. He's not murdering, brutally violent, military Santa Claus. He's Santa Claus. So even, and we'll get to it, the end result of the movie, he's a scarier looking Santa, but he's still fucking Santa Claus. And I think that's something that this movie, the way they market it, for one thing, they market this movie like, look out, ultraviolet Santa Claus, Mel Gibson with a gun. Every fucking photo you see is with him with a gun, and it's a great shot. But the problem is that's not this movie. That's the last 10 minutes of this movie. But this movie is about a Santa Claus trying to keep his operation together.
Trying to pay the bills.
They're trying to pay the bills, so they go into work with the government. They get subsidized by the federal government anyways, because that's basically them trying to keep the economy running, so people buy toys and shit like that, and how they keep the American spirit up. But because he's producing less and less, but because there's more and more kids on the naughty list, the government is giving him less and less. He's being subsidized less and less. So you're dealing with essentially a real-world blue-collar American problem of, we're running out of ways to pay for this. How are we going to keep Christmas afloat? And, he's not a tough guy in this. I love it. They portray him in every marketing as he's a tough guy, but he's not a tough guy. He's jovial. He makes jokes around everything. Like, you know what I mean?
But at the beginning, too, he looks like he's just getting sadder and sadder because there's so many more kids that are on the naughty list. Mm-hmm. And it's really taking its toll on him. And that's probably one of the reasons why. Yeah. Well, actually, they mention it later, but.
Well, yeah, and then, he has his own revolution of how he looks at children as well, which is kind of a cliched storyline. But, once again, it's Santa. There's parameters. But yeah, I think they. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I like how they did keep some of the Santa lore from from.
Yeah, me too.
Like, from what
one of my favorite scenes is when they're trying to move the heavy crates or something, and he just lifts it for him. And what's the excuse? What does he give him? He says something. He's like, it's all the milk or something from the milk. I can't remember the line.
Yeah.
But he really is just kind of a jolly guy who is aging, who's getting sadder because he's being forced to deliver so much more coal. There's a lot of emotion to this movie that you don't. When I first watched the trailer, for instance, I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be a bloodbath Santa Claus movie. You read every review, amongst the carnage, and it's like, I understand maybe that's how you want to get the eyes on the movie, because it is that niche idea of, violent Christmas. But I think it did this movie a disservice, because underneath those, however you want to put it, layers, those kind of stereotypical layers, is a movie with characters that are rich, that have heart, that beat to the tune of your average person's drum, and by kind of advertising it as, this is going to be violent Christmas, I really think that less people may have taken a look at it than should have. And if more people did watch it, you would definitely understand that it's much more than Mel Gibson's Santa Claus with a gun.
It's Mel Gibson and his wife trying to survive, and essentially all the elves are his children. They're children.
By the way, the elves, the naming system, And then I love that how like they don't have it's and the elves don't even want names. They're basically like, no, this is more efficient. We're good. We're good. Don't try.
Yeah, and actually, one other thing I like, I like that this movie has comedy in it, but then reels it back into the movie taking itself seriously. And a good example of this is the elves. There's scenes where Captain Jacobs is like telling them like you can't just eat sugar; it's not good for your diet. And it's kind of a funny scene because the elf is explaining to them, why they eat sugar. But then you contrast that with a scene where the elf Seven tells Captain Jacobs, he's like, you just keep numbering them. You're going to use the same number, and he's like, no, we don't do that. Out of respect.
Out of respect, yeah.
Which yeah, but that means number 7 is how many hundreds of years old.
Exactly.
And that's the other thing is how old is Santa? They don't ever go into it.
It's just a cool scene because it's like you have these elves that in most Christmas movies are like cheerful and funny, and then you just have that line like, no, like we don't do that out of respect, like we're a family. I just think that's cool.
And when they talk about the shifts, how they sleep 10 minutes every hour or whatever the hell
they sleep 20 minutes every 8 hours.
Yeah, every 8 hours, and they're like, no, we got lots more work done. And then the guy's like, you need sleep. He's like, no, this is why we live longer because we work. Like everything that the human dude's trying to tell him, he's like, no.
They work in 24-hour rotations.
Yeah,
it's also funny because when he says that, you get a look at their like skin complexion, and they just don't look healthy.
No, they're all anemic looking. We didn't say so. What ends up happening is the government comes to Chris and says, basically, if you will manufacture, what were they, F-15s?
Yeah.
If can we use your facility and your elves to manufacture these F-15s? And this is how they're going to survive this Christmas. So he's not happy about this happening, and part of the movie is the government kind of basically making the North Pole a military base for production of these F-15s. And I do like some of the banter and interaction you have with Chris as he walks around North Pole, and he's just kind of like joking with the soldiers. And, I also do want to point out the elves do nothing but eat sugar for their diet. And poor Chris has to sneak cookies every chance he can get. Like he's constantly like he gives the cookies. He's like take and of course Mrs. Claus or Miss Kringle is no more cookies.
She's the little good angel on his shoulder.
And you know what? That's the other thing is their relationship in this movie. And I understand you're not going to highlight it in a trailer, but it's such a wonderful relationship. It is a relationship of pure love. And
she shows it when he's like getting ready to leave too.
Yeah, it is a relationship that maybe not my parents. I think they hated each other, but a family who loved each other. Kids got to experience their mother and father. As there's one of them left for the day to So when the interaction between Chris and Mrs. Claus is very authentic to me, and I love that relationship. It wasn't a marriage, as they were best friends who loved each other.
Yeah,
is how I felt it was portrayed. And I think once again, because they marketed it as an action movie, a lot of people didn't watch it, and they missed this. They missed the potentially, in my opinion, one of the best couplings for Chris Kringle and Mrs. Claus ever. The most real feeling to me. I mean, this whole movie, I think, is way more grounded feeling than it has any right to be. For a Christmas movie, for a movie about Santa Claus, it's hyper realistic to the real world. Like you can swap out him being Santa Claus for a farmer. You know what I mean? And it would still fucking work because it's that grounded.
Yeah, and can we just highlight on Walton Goggins' character, Jonathan Miller? So I do like the opening of the movie when you're introduced to him, and he's basically looking for items or toys that came directly from Santa's workshop.
That little
made in Santa's workshop.
Yeah, he's got that little Hot Wheel car. Was the only thing he got.
And then he's like an aficionado too, because he brings out the glass. Yeah. He's like scraping, making sure.
Yeah. When you're first introduced to him, he's an appraiser. He's appraising, and he's a ruthless prick. Like no matter who he's dealing with, he's just.
Is there a chair that I could sit on?
Do you see a chair?
Do you see one?
Yeah. And
Walton, how is this guy not like AAA movie star? How is he like? Don't get me wrong. He's done. I love the Righteous Gemstones, Vice Principals, anything he's in. That I love. I just watched Major League 3 with the guy in it, and it's an okay movie. But
in Django Unchained,
Django,
right?
no, the other
Yeah.
one. He is not in Django. He is in The Hateful Eight. But he's brilliant in The Hateful Eight. The Shield. I mean, there's two shows that started modern day television: The Sopranos and The Shield. Where nobody talks about that from him anymore. He was the bad guy.
Sons of Anarchy.
Sons of Anarchy. He played the transvestite hooker. Wonderful role. He was the bad guy in the recent Tomb Raider movie, and he's actually really good in it.
Did you mention Justified? I'm sorry.
Justified, Boyd.
I love that.
My favorite role of his, and it's weird when you hear him talk in real life, and he doesn't have the Boyd Southern drawl, and you're kind of like, Boyd, what's wrong with you? What happened to your voice? But yeah, I mean, like that's the thing is like the amount of acting power, just sheer acting power you have in this movie. It's phenomenal. I mean, especially for a VOD that I was able to watch, and get immediately. I saw the trailer, and then when I found out it was going to be VOD, I was like a kid in a can. That's why I couldn't stop talking about it to you guys.
Yeah, you did talk about it a lot. You say we gotta watch this. We gotta watch it,
dude. I as soon as I saw the trailer, I was like, I'm in, and I was just like waiting for it to release at that point. Like I immediately was like done. No questions. Gonna watch that movie.
Yeah, and I don't know. I like it. It's kind of a gem of a movie because it kind of came out of. I mean, we had wanted to squeeze this movie in for our Christmas, like classic month.
It's just too packed, man. We jam packed, man.
We had too many going on, and
yeah, we had too much going on. But I don't know. I'm glad we found this movie. Like this is a movie like I'd like to watch again. And the reason I brought up Walton Goggins is because I know the movie's called Fatman and it's about Kris Kringle, but like this story is as much like his journey to not only just to go to Santa, but like his grudge with Kris Kringle along the whole way. And it's got to be interesting in the way they film this movie because, I mean, they're not together for
most of it.
Most of it. I mean. There's the scene where he tries to shoot him out of his car. And other than that, you have the actual confrontation. So, I mean, this whole movie is happening, and it's basically a bounce back and forth between Goggins trying to get to Kris Kringle, mixed in with the kid, and then Kris Kringle, like, having to come with terms with working with the U.S. government. And I think that's where a lot of like the marketing for this movie took advantage of was like the last 10 minutes.
Yep.
Which sucks because you don't get the sense like that the movie is as much about Jonathan Miller, that's Goggins' character, although he's credited as Skinny Man as well, which is kind of funny.
Well, that's the opposite.
Yeah, but you don't really get you don't really get like a taste of like his actual grudge and like his journey that he decides to go on because he's so hell bent on just getting what is a Hot Wheels car or a toy car?
Well, no, the only thing he was ever given was a toy car. That was the only
toy car. Yeah.
Now here's the thing,
and what he wanted was different. Yeah.
Well, there's two things, and I don't know if this is intentional, but I think there's a strong argument to make that it's also demonstrating that if a person's really shitty, they're always going to be really shitty. And I say that in the idea of the little kid gets a lump of coal, wants to murder Fat Man. Literally 35 years later or whatever it is, little kid is growing up. He's now Skinny Man and is legitimately trying to murder Fat Man. You know what I mean? Like it's that kind of dichotomy. And the other thing is we haven't really talked about what makes him Santa Claus in this movie. And there's several scenes. One of my favorite is in the beginning when he's in the bar. And there's the guy next to him flirting with the waitress or the bartender. And he goes right up to him and says, "How are you?" Says his name. And how's the family? And maybe you should, you can make it there. You start driving right now and you don't stop. And basically this guy's path was to cheat on his wife. Old Kris Kringle happened to be in the bar and heard it. And Santa Claus the shit out of him. He was just like, poof, you got Santa. And I love that scene.
And it's happened more than once.
Yeah, he does.
Because she even says, "How come I'm always about to take someone home and they disappear?"
He's always stopping that girl from wrecking men's lives. Basically, is like, don't throw your entire family away, son. Your friend Chris Kringle, you know what I mean? Like he's Santa's them. You got Santa. Yeah, you got Kringled or something. Like they gotta, like there's got to be a saying for what he does to these dudes, because he does it to a couple guys.
You got Kringled is probably not the
Kringled.
best thing.
That's the sequel. He's just coming out like literally he kicks the barn doors open and he's just dual blazing fucking 45s and then he unloads without ever touching anything. And then he's like, "You got Kringled," you know what I mean? Like we actually have a sequel idea. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does that to Walton Goggins too. Like from across the fucking ranch that he's on, he says his name and everything, calls him out, and I love that about the character, that they gave that to this Santa. And then there's the big thing of is he or is he not immortal?
Right.
Which they, at the end, you do find out one way or the other, which we'll spoil for you in a second. But, Alex, do you remember our sequel idea?
Yes.
You want to run through that with me real quick?
So we were talking about how the sequel will start out with Santa, Mr. Chris over here.
Post Christmas.
Yeah, right after Christmas ends, and he's tired. He's beat up again, and probably took another pot shot from some kid. And
with the deer rifle, he doesn't even that was like a 308. That wasn't a 22. Like that was a rifle. Not to maim, that's a kill rifle you got shot with, sir.
So he he actually shows that he's got friends this time. So one of them may be like Father Time or something, and it turns out to be.
We are a little frozen here.
Yes.
All right, we're good.
And I got green screen for you.
I'm good.
Okay. So it turns out that his friend is his old buddy, from Lethal Weapon.
Oh,
Danny Glover
awesome.
as
Danny
Father
Glover.
Time.
One of the reasons why this popped up in my head was because these two directors actually worked with one at one point in time or the other.
Yep.
So they have worked with them before. So now since they have this little, they can put them together.
One movie that we haven't mentioned, and it's written and directed by the brothers, is Small Town Crimes. I'm not going to tell you anything about it. It's a great movie. It's got, I think Glover's, that's the one he's in, along with several other really great actors. Check it out. More of a drama. Well, not more of a drama, but a different type. It's more literally, it's a drama / thriller, but it also blends the idea of like that old school detective film noir a little bit. They use violence in that movie very effectively as well. It's graphic, but it's on point. I didn't know they actually had done that movie until we were going through this to review it, and I had looked and seen their credits. But yeah, that's another amazing movie that I had no idea that they were attached to, that I think I had recommended a long time ago to you guys, way before, or I think maybe when we first, I don't know, but I've talked about it before.
I know you and I were talking about it, and then you just like got all excited, like, dude, I'd seen this movie. Like you just, and my ears were like,
yeah.
I was like, oh shit.
When I went through the IMDb, I was like, no fucking way they did that movie. Like I like that movie. So this is 2 out of 2 for me that I've seen of theirs. They do have a handful of short films and a couple full length features that I'm actually going to look into.
Can you imagine though? Can you imagine some of the dialogue for Danny Glover and Mel Gibson?
Oh, it'd be great.
He's Chris Kringle and he's Father Time, and like they could perfectly use "I'm getting too old for this shit," or he can tell Chris, "You're getting too old for this shit."
No, that's you play on it to where you have Chris Kringle, cock the gun. I'm getting too old for this shit, and Danny Glover looks at him. He's like, "You are," because he's Father Time, so he's like thousands of years old, But like you couldn't do it unless you were doing it in a tongue-in-cheek sort of way. Like our sequel would have to be, tongue-in-cheek, but literally the scene with them kicking the barn door open and each one of them like coming out of it firing. I don't know. That might be a wet dream for me. Like, they're already doing Lethal Weapon 5.
Yeah.
So let's get them in the same room and film Fat Man 2 with Danny Glover in it somewhere.
So did anybody notice what I got going here?
It's a thermos.
It's the same one that Mrs. Claus, Ruth, the same one that Ruth gives him when she exchanges him his flask before he goes out.
I was actually more wondering how it isn't blending in with the background more.
I know, that's crazy. It's there it goes.
There you go.
It's the lighting.
Fat Man Brandon Thermos.
And I actually do have hot cocoa in here.
But yeah, so I mean, so the movie obviously comes to the full idea where Skinny Man does meet up with Fat Man. They do have a gunfight, but once again, throughout this whole thing, he's Kris Kringle. He's about joy and love. So like, even though he's defending himself, he's not a badass. He's not going out there, even though he's got awesome lines, where Walton Goggins, "I'm gonna kill you, Fat Man." He's just like, "You're not the first." Anytime Mel Gibson goes into the Mel Gibson voice, for me, it's like, because it's the same Mel Gibson voice from Lethal Weapon. Like, from the very first one where he goes into the...
I just hear Riggs.
Yeah, it's Riggs. Because Riggs had those fly-off moments of, when Roger puts the gun to his head. Or when he tells him to shoot himself, or, "Do you want to jump? Do you want to?" And like, I don't know, man. I love Mel Gibson. I wish he was in more shit. I really do.
I'm gonna get something to eat.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
He
walks away. And then even in the later movies when he gets goofier and he's eating dog biscuits and shit, he's, once again, I still am the firm believer that one of the all-time most badass lines in any movie is when he's running through Lethal Weapon, he's been tortured with electricity, he kills that gentleman, runs through the club murdering people, and as he wipes out the last guy in the one room of several he clears, he goes, "Who's fucking next?" And then he's, like, one of the coolest lines ever. I'm sorry. I wish he was in more shit. I really do. Because he's still a good actor. The whole scene where he tells the elves that they're going into business with the federal government and he's holding back tears the whole time, like, the dude's on point. And to me, like, once again, that's one of those scenes in the movie you don't expect, because if you watch the trailer, you do not expect a scene where a hardened older Kris Kringle is telling his essentially the only family he's ever known, which is his elves and Mrs. Claus, that I know this isn't what we do, but we have to do it to survive. And that whole scene, I don't know, man. I think if I understand why you market it the way you do, but in the same token, it did a disservice to what this movie really is, which is much deeper than what they portray it as being. Because there's layers to this movie. For me, it's about the relationships. Because the stories, this little bastard kid who's
oh god,
Best in Joe,
who's been stealing money from his grandmother, who's ill. And then towards the end of the movie, she finds out, and there's that whole little scene of, like, where he's been paying hitmen to kill people. There's the whole scene where she's like, "Well, where is it gone?" She's talking to her accountant on the phone about these missing hundreds of thousands of dollars, we presume. He's got all these gifts. He's got a full staff that he bosses around like a prick. And he's just a murderous little nasty little shit. Who literally, we talked about the little girl getting kidnapped, and the reason why she's kidnapped is because this kid has won, was it 6 or 7 years in a row?
I
think like four. He's got all of the best.
And he wears them each year like a cocky little fuck. And then this time, this little girl wins, so he hires Goggins to kidnap her, threaten her life and her family's life if she didn't tell them that she cheated.
Well, no, he threatens her. Like
that's right. What did he had something in his hand.
He was like talking about the car battery that
the car. The car. It's literally like this little 8-10-year-old girl that you're threatening with a car battery. And then psychopath Goggins, as he takes her back home, is "Merry Christmas." Like, just some of the little nuances in it where they know it's tongue in cheek, but it's perfectly done.
Speaking of things that they say, was there any kind of lines that you heard that you liked about it? Like, I'll go first. Like, one of the things I liked, he's like, "You remind me of my mother." She's like, "Really?" Yeah. He's like, "She wasn't a good listener, and she never knew when to shut the fuck up." Like at the pet store.
Yes. Oh,
when I heard that, I was
lines.
I loved it.
Like I said, I don't understand why Goggins is not, like, he's successful, but why is he not AAA? The amount of fucking talent this guy has. And I mean, you can make the argument that he is AAA. He's done a diverse range of projects. He's been in Hollywood movies.
He's on TV right now.
He's got that show.
Something, I think, Cupid.
Maybe, I don't know. But he's got a successful sitcom, which he had never done. So the guy branches out to different, areas of where he's pretty diverse in what he's done. So it's just that him and Mel Gibson is what attracted me to the movie. And then finally being able to watch it and get into the subject matter, I was looking forward to doing this review because as I watched the movie, I'm thinking this was not shown in the proper light. Because for one thing, it's much more of a Santa movie than you realize, than you would think. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of Santa Claus type elements and stories and shit like that you would expect from a Tim Allen movie. They do it here, but in a darker, more realistic, grounded fashion. Now, one thing can
you imagine Mel Gibson in the Tim Allen Santa Claus movie?
Back then, yes. Yeah. When they were made, sure.
But like a whole different way.
Oh God, if it was filmed like this one,
yeah.
Get off my roof. And then that's why he falls. Who's fucking next?
Then your horror movie would actually be true. I think it was Anthony that said that it was a horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The disappearing Santa does make sense for a horror movie, though. You got to think about it.
I do like though that well, I'm a huge Mel Gibson fan, but I like that in this movie you do get the both sides of him. Like when he is jolly, like he seems like a cool, fun guy.
He's just walking around the ranch like, "Hey guys, what's up?" Like he's a cool Santa.
But like when he flips and you get the picture behind Alex, which is him with a gun, you're like, "That's Martin Riggs."
Yeah, yeah. When he flips out of bed and he's like walking out shirtless, that's Riggs.
Yeah.
I can't think of another actor that would be cool enough to be in that role and have that flip. Like,
I mean, I would argue Kurt Russell, if he wasn't Christmas Chronicles Santa, could have portrayed this style of Santa.
I was thinking that, but I didn't want to say it because I just kept seeing the puffy cheeks,
like I think
because they were so shiny.
He could have gone that route, but I mean, once again, not to be mean, but Gibson looks a little bit more weathered. Mm-hmm. The guy had some rough years, so like he looks the part of a grizzled, like older dude, and he fits, and he's not in bad shape either. He's kept himself pretty muscular considering.
Yeah, but there is a reason why he's looking like that, and it's because, it's because what keeps him young. Remember when they talk about how?
Well, yeah, but I don't know if that was a legitimate that keeps him young, or if the whole like the giving keeps him young. I think that was, unless it was meant to be like a double kind of a joke, but also the truth.
But the reason why that was like that is because as more kids got naughty, he wasn't giving as much as he used to.
Well, yeah, I think that's a theme in here, where he kind of explores it, is he worries that he stopped caring just as much as the kids who have stopped caring have stopped caring, and that's his big kind of moral dilemma, where he looks at it less of, oh, these bastards don't care, and more of like, I failed all the kids, and I failed them, and they don't believe in me because I have done something wrong. Mm-hmm. Which he takes it personally. He's the Santa Claus that truly takes the fact that these generations are growing up more callous and desensitized to heart. It's his fault, and it's. I love his character in this. I love the fact that he's kind of beaten down, but he's still happy. He's still Santa Claus. When shit's going okay, when he knows he's got the check, when he checks that little P.O. box, and he's got that government check, But and then even in the conversations that him and her have, him and Mrs. Claus have about the finances, is like, God damn, I just had that conversation a month ago. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty close to what a real relationships discussion would be as far as finances. Is most people have gone through it. I'm gonna watch this movie again actually soon. I loved it. Sorry, go ahead, guys. I can't talk good enough about it, to be honest with you.
I can see myself watching it again. No problem. Even not during Christmas time,
No, it's one of those movies like, and I'm not really comparing it as far as content and how good it is, but like The Gray, where as long as it's cold outside, you can throw this movie on. Okay. And it'll fit. Like for me, it's got that atmosphere of like, I don't know if watching it during the summer is going to have the same hit, but definitely anytime, like when we get to October, October to March is like prime time for this movie. Because it's a Santa Claus movie, but it's not It's not an overpowering Christmas movie. In fact, Christmas really isn't mentioned. In fact, a lot of the names and stuff they use, they don't use Santa. It's Kris Kringle.
No.
They use the old Germanic forms of it more so than anything.
Fatman and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I like. It gives it that kind of other side of it where it's once again you're a little bit more grounded. I do feel there were some missed opportunities about making jokes about his belly. Something like that where it's like when Walton Goggins says, "I'm going to kill you, fat," he could, something where it's just like, "I'm trying," like you making jokes about it because once again he's Santa. People have tried to kill him before. One of the things, excuse me, I want to talk about that we didn't really talk about is the damage on his body. The
Yeah.
scars and bruises and the deformities from everything from being shot with a deer rifle to being, attempted murder.
Yeah.
He's a beat up dude. Like his body, you could. Really wish they would have given you or us a timeline of how old he is, because he's clearly not 60, like his body
No.
says he is. He's hundreds of years old. Now let's get to the end. First off, anything anybody would like to say before we get to the end of Fatman?
No, I actually wanted to bring up the gunfight.
Okay, so I'm gonna let you go ahead. The end result to me was exactly what I wanted, and I think it left it off on a very perfect note. But go ahead, and because I know I've talked a lot because I got the big mouth and the caffeine. So you guys go ahead and lead us into the ending.
Well, go ahead, Alex.
No, I was just gonna say for one, it's a shitty fucking military that was on the base.
Yeah.
They all get taken out by just Goggins.
Yeah.
Building F-15s at $2.3 billion a piece or whatever the fuck they cost.
These had to have been like weakened military guys,
The
reserves.
Yeah. We just hit the old country buffet. We're gonna go guard Santa's workshop.
But yeah, go ahead, Anthony.
Oh, so no, I specifically one of the cool scenes is after Goggins kind of takes out what seems to be every soldier at the military base. He comes across Kris Kringle, and they have that scene where they are essentially running up to each other with the wood pile in front of them.
Yeah.
And this is a cool fucking scene because I don't know if Kris Kringle had a gun in hand. I believe he had a gun on him.
He had his
Yeah,
45.
he had two at the beginning.
Which actually, before that, I was telling Matt off air, one of the cool scenes in this movie, it's a very like Martin Riggs moment, is when Elf number 7 is saying on the radio while Kris Kringle and Ruth are in bed, like, there's an emergency, we have a break-in, and Chris immediately gets out of the bed, grabs the boxer, puts it on the bed, opens it, and takes a gun out.
That big ass fucking 38 or 350
Six shooter.
I think it was a 38. It might have been a 357, but yeah.
Yeah, and the look between him and Ruth is just like, okay, this is happening. Like, this is happening. It's not like her reaction's not like, oh my god. It's just like she's like, all right, we're doing this. Like,
We're prepared for this. We've been through this before. Like, you could tell that this is not something that's new to them.
And she's like getting stuff set up for him too. She was like, pulling stuff out.
Oh, she's a soldier, man.
It makes you wonder with his scars, like how much shit they've been through, like similar to this.
Well, here's my thought, right? And I know this is going really deep into the lore, but if they're ideally they're both hundreds of years old, right? The early and late 1800s and early 1900s in this country couldn't have been very easy for a mixed race couple.
Oh yeah.
So, like if you ever want to talk prequel or something like that, like that's also they've been through if there is, I assume the same rules apply where the Mrs. Claus is immortal or whatever you want to consider immortality of the same. So that you'd have to imagine they've been together for hundreds of years through all sorts of shit. And this entire world wasn't very fun on other races up until about 50, 60 years ago. So there's a lot of lore there of shit they've been through together, which to me is partly why they feel like best friends who love each other, as opposed to like, you're my husband, Santa. She's, she's like, put your hat on. She's got that like, no more cookies. because she got that fucking French Cajun accent of hers or whatever it is.
I thought you were pulling out your inner Arnold.
No, fuck Arnold for this
Those are
movie.
my cookies.
Fat Man versus Jingle All the Way Schwarzenegger. Put my cookies down, and he's like, "These are my cookies."
I don't know if I can root for Fat Man in that fight. I'm
Bullshit!
sorry.
I gotta root for Fat Man because in this one, Schwarzenegger's the villain. He's gonna come in as the villain, the cookie man.
So I'll just bring it up the scene that everyone probably talks about, or that will think about after they watch this movie. So Fat Man getting shot in the face.
Yeah.
Okay, so he shoots him in the face, right? And go ahead. Lewis.
I legit was like, fuck.
Me too. I was like,
Yeah.
no. I was like, and I turned to my wife and I was like, if they fucking kill Santa off, I'm seriously pissed. Like, if they legitimately kill his ass, I'm done.
Everything through my head was like, okay, Ruthie's gonna take over. Ruthie's gonna do this. And Seven's still alive, isn't he? I'm like, wait, did Seven still around?
Seven survived the gunfight. Seven survived the gunfight. Okay.
I'm like thinking about all this shit. I'm like, okay, what's gonna happen here?
Yeah, and also, Ruth pulls a good fucking shot from far away.
Yeah,
like that's another thing too. Like her
in the shoulder. Yeah. With
when
the
you
flintlock.
think about how prepared they must have been.
It's a flintlock pistol on top of it, which were, depending on the era, there's no fucking rifling, but it also tells you that she goes back to the pirate time, probably came from the Caribbean era, when you think about it, with her accent and everything. So how far back do they date? If that's her accent, that means that their age is at least back to that era.
Yeah, and I believe she ends up shooting Gaga. Did she shoot him in the head as well?
She shoots him in the shoulder, and then he goes into her house, and she apologizes to him, and as soon as he turns around, she plugs him. She says, "I'm sorry, I have to do this," and shoots him.
Mm-hmm.
Badass.
Yeah.
Even in that, they're good people. Like, she's literally murdering a guy, but in the same scene, they effectively say she doesn't want to do this.
She apologizes, yeah.
He's a threat. Like, she is a kind woman. So Chris is a kind man. That's who they are, and over the time they've been beaten and threatened and attacked, and they're still good people, but they do what they have to do.
Right. No matter how trashy people were towards them. Somebody's breaking into your house giving gifts, so I don't know. Would you shoot somebody returning stuff to you?
Listen, as a parent, as a dad, if someone wants to break into my house and leave gifts for my child under the tree, I'm all for that. I'll leave the door unlocked.
I got 2 thumbs up for that.
Anyways, so he gets shot in the fucking eyeball, and he's sitting there, and I am literally like, don't fucking kill him, don't you fucking kill him. And I have to say, the way he comes back is just the best. I'm sorry, it was the best way to end the movie, where he comes face to face to this little fucker who sent Goggins after him.
Shit.
And he's got that. He's like Santa, but he's got the Riggs girdle, like the Riggs guttural tone, and basically tells him like, "You ever fucking do it again, I'm coming back." And he has the wife, or he has Mrs. Claus unwrap the missing eye area. Mm-hmm. And so that also tells you that if he can get shot in the face and just lose the eyeball, that all that damage was not standard operating procedure. Those are battles and wars he's been through. Which questions, who the fuck was he? If we can point back to her being potentially part of the Caribbean pirate era with the musket, who the fuck was he in that era? How long was he Santa before her?
I had like 3 takeaways I pulled off of this movie. One of them, he can't be killed, but he can be maimed. So, like he lost an eye, you can't grow it back.
I'd argue there's probably laws, like if he's beheaded, he can be killed, shit like that.
Probably something like that. The other was, now it changed though, because of what you just said. Santa is an old-time Western guy, because at some points he does have that Western in him.
Yeah, he does. He also, the piece he uses is looks like 45 from Vietnam era, or maybe World War II even. Different handles though, but same model, Colt 1911.
But the one that he carried with him when he went on his thing was the 6-shooter.
That was, but that was like I don't know what caliber that was though.
And then he also said that he wanted the 6-shooter too when he went out
Yeah,
there.
that was his favorite. I mean,
Yeah.
it's possible, but my I don't know though. Now that I'm thinking about her origins.
Yeah. And my third takeaway on this, Santa, this Chris Kringle, he loves cookies.
I mean, that's why he's got a little bit. He doesn't have a beer belly. He's got a cookie belly. But how can you not when your workers and family eat nothing but sugar?
Nothing but sugar.
It's like being like having diabetes and your family being like, "Yo, you need to get that shit in check," while they're eating Twinkies in front of you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how is that fair to the guy?
So I was telling Matt off air. I don't know if it's because I just watched too many horror movies, but I was really hoping in that end scene that when Ruth takes off his bandage, Santa Claus would have ripped the eye out of that little kid and took it, like for his own eye.
That's the horror movie angle.
Or Krampus would have came out from behind him because he says that he's going to be a different person now. He knows what he has to do to the naughty.
Yeah.
Oh, if they introduced Krampus, that would have been badass.
That would have been kind of cool that he came over his shoulder. And
They should build a universe where it's all the winter holidays, Krampus, Belschnickel, Santa, they all got to fight global warming. But no, I don't know where they would go with the sequel to this, to be honest with you. But I am 100% on board for, frankly, not knowing now that they made Small Town Crime, I'm 100% on board for whatever the fuck they make. I'm going to be interested in it. But you give me a sequel to this, I'm a happy little kid. Got my Christmas present.
at least a cameo by Danny Glover.
Yeah,
That would be the
awesome.
bee's knees, as the kids I think are saying right now. Let's
The kids from what year?
the Utes. The Utes are saying the bee's knees still, right?
From the 70s, 80s?
Is what up still a thing? My beard shakes. Let's give it the old Chicago dog. Alex, you first, my friend.
I really did like this movie, and I don't know how to put it, but have I ever given 5 hot dogs?
I think I don't know. I know. I'm pretty sure there's a movie you've given a 5. I think RoboCop 3.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Thanks.
No, I don't know, to be honest. I know I have.
No, but I am going to go with 5. I did love Mel Gibson as Chris.
Yeah.
I loved I can't say her name, but his wife Ruthie.
Jean
Baptiste.
Baptiste.
Yeah. Baptiste.
Baptiste.
Goggins was fucking great in this.
As always.
I couldn't stand the kid's character, but the kid was good acting. He did good acting and normally I can't stand kids acting in movies. But this kid did play a legitimate asshole.
Yeah, he was. The kid was good at his role because I fucking hate him.
I actually hated him because of his role, not because of his acting.
Yeah, exactly. You hate him. Yeah, for once he didn't have the Daniel Baldwin effect.
And I also love 7, man. 7 was great.
7 was
So
awesome.
I give it 5 hot dogs.
Luis Anthony.
I'm gonna go with a solid 4 out of 5. I do, even though the marketing was pushed as like a violent action movie, I kind of wish there was more action, just because when you see Chris flip to like shit's getting serious,
He's
and
awesome.
even Ruth, to see
Yeah.
some more action from Ruth would have been cool. It is a little bit of a bummer that you don't get as more screen time between Goggins and Mel Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
But the movie does a good job of like giving you the actual story and a reason for that screen time. So yeah, I'm gonna go with a 4 out of 5 hot dogs. I think it'd be cool to see more of this story.
Yeah.
Like Matt said, I don't know where they would take it. Maybe Chris Kringle is more like hardened and even more. I just want him to turn into Martin Riggs. I can't.
Seriously, just Richard Donner, get your 95-year-old ass and make Lethal Weapon 5, so we can get some more Riggy Rig. That's the thing.
But yeah, 4 out of 5 for me.
I'm gonna give it a solid 4.5. I like this movie for so many reasons, and none of which were shown in the trailer. The trailer got me interested, but the reasons I like this movie are not. I agree. I do wish there was more action, but that also is probably a consequence of the trailer, or the marketing, I should say, towards it. One of the reasons I'm not giving it a full on 5 is because it gives it. When I watch movies like this, especially movies that I really do like this, questions formulate. Where I want more thing. I want to know things about these characters that maybe these guys, the guys who made it and wrote it, didn't even think of. Like, I want to know how him and Ruthie met. I want to know how old they are, where they go back. I want to know the lore of that. I have so many questions of his age, and to me, that's why I think maybe Fat Man, if there is another one that's made, a prequel might be the better route. So you explore some of the history. Like, there's so much that you can build upon, both forwards and backwards in time, from this story that I want more. I want to. I wish I could. I wish that the directors and writers had written. They released something that kind of was like maybe a graphic novel that explained a little bit about the past of what's gone on or something. Because a movie like this, as much as I do love it, I just want to know the full spectrum of who this Kris Kringle is, because they've given me.
You're a greedy kid.
I am. I want it all. I want my cake and to eat it too.
I want it all.
See, if I would have gotten a piece of coal though, I would have gotten me a high pressure hose washer, and I'd have hit it, and I got some diamonds out of that coal.
See?
But to add to what Matt's saying, what you're saying is what I look for in a lot of horror movies. Like, as far as the writing for this film, is I think a good movie gives you bits and pieces that make you want more.
Yeah.
Rather than treating you like you're stupid and hand holding, because like you said, this movie doesn't blatantly use Christmas stereotypes. It doesn't say Mrs. Claus. It doesn't say Santa Claus. It just alludes to these, and you start to think like, well, I want to know more about that. And I think this movie does a good job in doing that. Like, you want to know about Santa Claus. You want to know why they're having to work with the government. Like, you want to know more of the backstory that's not there.
Yeah.
And I think that's good writing, rather than a movie just like giving you all it and not really giving a shit.
Yeah.
Or just not giving you good tidbits to actually want to learn more about the story. So that's why I think I agree with what Matt's saying. And I think that's why the writing in this movie is what I like about other movies, where you just want to know more that's not there.
Yeah, it's like I said, there's a lot of reasons to like this movie, and it is just a little bit shitty of how it was kind of marketed, to where I mean, there's probably a lot of people that were turned off, where it's just like, lots of carnage in this rated R Christmas movie, and it's like you have maybe people who would have been interested if they would have portrayed it as a legit Santa Claus story, and less of like, oh, Walton Goggins is going to kill Santa Claus, which is disappointing, because the movie has a lot to offer. I mean, the movie,
and it was justified.
Whether it be, yeah, right, whether it be the relationship between him and Mrs. Claus, the relationship between him and the elves characteristics, the military concept kind of taking over his ranch, just to how it's acted. Like I said, one of my favorite scenes is him telling the elves what's going to happen, and just it's his family that he's telling, yeah, guys, we're going to be essentially instruments of war for a little bit.
I have a question for you two. Were any elves injured in this movie?
I think they all were evacuated by 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of a cool thing that, not one elf.
Yeah, he took care of them. Maybe he got them all the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he did the code alarm and they all scattered.
Protocol Yellow.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the one military guy, he actually helped them all get away as well.
7, and he had to get away. Yeah, I don't understand how, though, like, he's like a general or some shit, and he has that bad of aim. Like, that frustrated me. I was like, how is Walton Goggins wasting every motherfucker in this place? Like, what is going on here?
His entire crew of stormtroopers all died before him, so.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, they were literally, the military on the North Pole is as useless as the military in Die Hard 2.
Is Canada the North Pole?
I actually do really like how they show that, yeah, he's isolated, but he's not North Pole isolated. Like
Right.
he's an hour away from his local little bar and little shops, and the post office, which they know the game. They don't. Let me load the rest of the letters into your truck. He drives an old pickup truck. Like he fixes the sleigh himself. He's got it on two hay bed things there. Like just the little things that they show. Like he's a real dude, but he's still Santa. I don't know. I just love that concept of a real Santa guy. The Chris. That's what they should have called it. Chris, Kris. You got Santa.
Passion of the Chris.
Passion. Well, number 2's coming out of that movie. He's it's in the works now, I think. Of Passion.
Is that when he comes back? I've never seen the first film.
Well, you don't know the story either? The one that's based off the Bible?
Well, I know the story of Jesus. I just didn't know where the first movie ended.
Well, the first movie ended with them basically, if I remember correctly, I haven't seen it in a while, they bury him, and then it ends with where they buried him, the rock is left open from where he had left.
And they say he is risen.
Yeah, where he had risen. That is one of the most brutal motherfucking movies I've ever seen. Yeah. That scene where they hit him with the spiky thing and it rips the rib cage flesh out. Fucking hell, man! Like
wife was like, I really want to see it, and that part happened. She's like, I'm done.
See, that's the thing is like it sounds bad, but it sounds bad to walk around and go, yeah, I really do like that movie, Passion of the Christ. But I do, like it's directed really well. Like he does have a great eye, like Gibson does. That is like, just go if you haven't watched that movie in a long time or never, go watch it and see his choice of cinematography when they go to take Christ, when the soldiers come to take him. The way the lighting is and the way that films, it's quite a exquisitely shot scene. I actually I just picked up Apocalypto because it was on one of them for $5. It had never been on digital up until like 4 or 5 months ago. They released it. It's also on Amazon Prime. But yeah, that's another one that's I didn't think it was as good as a couple of his others. But Braveheart I think he directed as well. So the guy's got the fucking eye.
Is there a 4K of The Patriot?
Oh yeah. Yes, it's awesome.
So go watch that movie if you're listening for no reason at all. Just go watch.
Some days I'll just sit down and watch the first fucking 20 minutes, where he goes berserk. That is one of my favorite scenes in any movie where they kill his little son or his little kid, and he fucking goes to Martin Riggs again, and he fucking starts setting up rifles and tells his kids, shoot straight, run the fuck away when you're out of ammo. And then he decimates a fucking entire group of Reds with and then there's later on the story of he tells when he butchered the French in that war, and if you haven't seen that movie in a while, you can't miss that scene if you don't remember that dialogue, because that explains the whole relationship between him and the French soldier that's helping him. It explains why he left the military. Because if you know anything about history, during that time, there was no holds bar. The rules of engagement were slaughter everybody, and they did, and that's how he explains how he went in and he killed women, men, children, all of them. But yeah, Patriots. I mean, I love that fucking movie. What's his face from Harry Potter's in that movie?
Alan Rickman.
No.
No.
Fuck. All right, so we've got our reviews. Let's just do a real quick. What has everybody been watching? We'll start with Lewis.
Man, I have been watching a lot of Bluey on Disney Plus with my son.
All right.
No, just kidding. No, I got into an Ari Aster kick because my brother Giovanni, who has a restraining order, it's now 80 feet. He had never seen Midsummer and Hereditary, so I rewatched those.
You gotta remember, it's not 80 feet anymore. They tack on the COVID, so it's 86 feet.
86 feet. Yeah, so I've been rewatching a lot of my favorite horror films, Midsummer, Hereditary. I just started again The Exorcist, which I grew up on horror movies, love all genres. For some reason, The Exorcist has like ingrained in me when I hear that song. That movie creeps the shit out of me.
I agree. It's one of the few movies that still gets doesn't scare me, but gets under my in the original Amityville Horror still get under my skin.
Hmm.
Not
and
scary. It's just the vibe it gives.
the brilliant thing about The Exorcist is like the scariest parts aren't till the latter, like the last 30 minutes or so of the movie. It's all like tension and atmosphere with that soundtrack that fucking chimes in and out.
Yep.
One of the scariest movies I've ever seen. But I watched that because I started the FX TV show, The Exorcist,
Any good?
Okay.
which it's kind of cool. But then I saw that The Exorcist was streaming. So yeah, I've been rewatching my same horror bullshit.
Alejandro.
For me, I really haven't been watching much except for reruns of NCIS, stuff like that. And I've been playing a lot more video games in between. So I've been playing some Sea of Thieves. I have no idea what you're saying there. It sounds like you're saying pork.
Does watching a video game stream count as what I've been watching?
Yes, it does.
I've been watching these two idiots play Sea of Thieves.
Or the pirate life for me. Ooh.
Yes.
We've been on the ship quite a long time, Alex.
Yeah, I could tell you got yourself a back tattoo and
and a dress. I started wearing a dress in the game now because I wanted to show off my tattoos.
Something we forgot to do at the end of the stream today. Or no, we didn't stream today. That's okay. Never mind.
Yeah, because we always blow up the ship.
Yeah, we usually sink the ship at the end.
It's glorious.
While playing accordion.
Yeah, just like the fellas on the Titanic.
You got to play the music while it goes down.
So you're good on what you're watching?
Yeah.
I'm going to recommend 2 movies. Debt Collector 1 and 2. They're both on Netflix. They star Scott Adkins. Basically, he's a martial artist who is in debt, gets involved with shady people, and he basically goes, it's like 4 trips. He goes around and he collects money. But great action movies, awesome martial art movies. Scott Adkins they're one of his best roles because he's himself but exaggerated. That, and I watched Major League 3 with Walton Goggins the other night because I was bored. And other than that, we've been watching a lot of The Office. The Debt Collector movies I watched a little bit ago, but I've wanted to get those out there because I enjoyed them so much. There's another one that I can't remember the name of, starring Scott Adkins on Netflix, and it is a fucking bonkers movie. It's literally about this guy who he's a British dude. He goes to prison, and you find out throughout the course of the movie who set him up and this and that. And the movie is literally him telling how he escaped prison and everything. And it's one fight scene after another. And I can't remember that. I'll look it up and next episode we'll talk about it. But because I want to maybe review a couple of these. Because these are movies that not everybody's seen. These are lower budget, direct-to-DVD that are kind of catching on, maybe, in Europe more so. But all 3 of those movies are great. Major League 3... not great, but I like those movies anyways. Like, I love the first one. The second one I dig is actually still pretty good. The third one, it's fucking Scott Bakula, but it's still enjoyable, frankly. Sniper is on the list, though.
Yeah, and speaking of movies, we recommend. So the next episode, we're going to be reviewing Spree, which is on Hulu. If you have Hulu, check that out. And Tenant, which is not free. Unless you borrow it. Unless you borrow it from Pirate Bay or something.
Pirate Bay's not a thing anymore.
No, it still exists. It's just another URL.
It does?
Yeah, it's.
Okay.
They've gone through, because they keep getting shut down. They've gone through like hundreds of URLs, and I don't even know what the real one is anymore.
You should. What's the old commercials for like the pirating movies? Like, you wouldn't steal a car, would you?
I would actually.
Yeah.
Well, did you hear about the UFC? They're attacking and prosecuting people that are found to be stealing the pay-per-views.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Dana White just made a statement about how they're going at people that are pirating or bootlegging, however you want to say it.
So what are they doing to people that are doing live streams? Because there's people that people that go on live.
I'd imagine those are getting shut down. They're because of COVID and financials being what they are. Everybody's butts are getting watertight.
Which I guess I should clarify. We're not advocating you to illegally download movies, but, and that's where that conversation will end.
I mean, here's the thing: like, download them if you have to. But frankly, especially with what's going on in the industry and shit, if you see it on sale, even though you got a fucking bootleg of it, buy the fucking movie.
Yeah,
Simple
go buy
as that.
Fatman. Watch this
It'll
movie.
it'll be
Yeah.
in better quality than a
Yeah, I
fucking
mean that's the
bootleg.
thing is like digital or physical. No, and don't get me wrong, bootlegs have come a long way. But besides risking your fucking internet, because Comcast will shut you down if they get too many complaints. Besides risking that, besides risking fucking federal prosecution at this point, support the movies that deserve to be supported. I'm not saying go buy The Shed, but a movie like like Fat Man, hell, even a movie like VFW, I'd say find it on sale. Even though if I find it on sale, even though it's on Shudder, I'm still gonna buy it. Right now, it is important as much shit as we talk about, kind of how like the industry deserves what it's getting to a certain degree. These are still people. There's people out of work. There's a lot more than just prissy actors that go into movies. You got a lot of behind the scenes people. So, stop the fucking bootlegging. I understand if you're dirt poor, like I've been a lot in my life, and I've downloaded shit, games, movies, but now I'm at a point in my life where if I've got it, I buy it. If I don't download it anymore. Try to support the movies that deserve to be fucking supported, and enough of this illegal shit. I buy a goddamn fucking 4K Blu-ray. I got 6 warnings telling me if I steal the fucking Blu-ray that I bought and put in my fucking Blu-ray drive, I'm going to jail. I clearly didn't steal the fucking thing. I just opened it from its cellophane wrapper. That's what annoys me more than anything. I bought it. Why am I being punished with a warning? It's like if I go to the store and I buy a beverage and I stand outside of it and the cop comes by. If you steal that beverage, you're in trouble. No shit, I already bought it though, asshole. Your warnings doesn't mean anything to me. I purchased it.
So the shitty thing about still buying Blu-rays, because I still do for horror movies, is there are a lot of them that have previews on it for watching movies in Blu-ray. And it's like I'm watching this on my Blu-ray player.
I do miss the original. Alex and I were talking about it for Sea of Thieves, the old school Blu-ray, original Blu-rays, where it's like we have our heading, and then the trailer, kicks in.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Every time we're playing Sea of Thieves, that's all I'm thinking about. Where it's like, where are we going? Where are we going? Okay, we have our heading, and then it's like, we were talking about that the other day. Like I don't watch a lot of physical media anymore. To be honest with you, I get most of my shit digitally just because it's cheaper. I mean,
I don't either. I collect physical media for horror films. Like I buy the Blu-rays to add to my collection, but it's so much easier. And like Matt said, I mean, you don't have to own these movies. You could download or you can rent HD 4K shit for like $4 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're buying a cup of coffee, stop downloading and fucking rent it, asshole. Wait for it to. Yeah, these movies all hit $5. Between Vudu and iTunes and all these other places, Amazon, there's no argument to be made that these movies do. Every one of these fucking. Most of my library I've gotten on sale.
If you can afford a $7 coffee, you can afford a fucking.
Yeah, but don't get the Frappuccino. It's going to your fat ass anyways. Support these fucking guys for making a good movie. It's $10. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, the amount of money people waste on useless bullshit and then go, well, in this, I'm not defending Disney, but for people to waste the money on useless bullshit and then go, oh, Mulan's too expensive at $30. It's like, you just bought a $100 handbag, but Mulan for $30, I'm not defending Disney, frankly, fuck them. They deserve what they're getting. I don't like what Disney's doing at all with any property besides Mandalorian at this fucking point.
On the topic of wasting money on things that you should get, what are you drinking out of?
What do you mean?
What's that thing that you had earlier that you were drinking out of? Yeah.
It's my water bottle. Nerditude. That's my face or something. This is a infused bottle. I wasn't planning on doing any ads on it, but I don't make any money out of this. Basically, I needed to get off soda. I was at one point I'd walk into by my fridge over here and I'd have 10 fucking 2-liters stacked and I'd drink one a night at least. And I needed to stop it, so I found this bottle. It's I have the Spittoon edition. It's a 64 ounce, but it's got a cartridge in here, and that just flipped the fuck out of my hand.
And it's gone.
Basically, you put any flavoring, you could buy it over the store, any liquid flavoring, whether it be Crystal Light or Mio or any. Infuse has their own Vessel brand.
Is it curved?
Yeah, yeah.
like a
It's,
mouth guard.
Okay.
it's designed to fit in there. And what you do is you
Gotcha.
put your filling in there, you pop it in. The bottle's got a little kind of gauge here to let you know basically the amount of flavoring flow you want to go through. So if you want more water than flavoring, if you want a light or heavy mix. But no, it's gotten me to stop drinking soda. I mean, I still drink soda, but it's usually like, oh, I got one from Speedway, and not let me go grab one of my 12 fucking 2 liters. If you use the code Nerditude, NERDATTUDE, you do get 15% off. Just to make it clear, this is not a financial sponsorship. We make no money from this. I literally emailed them and said, hey, I love the product. I'd like to get a code to get my followers because I do streaming, as we all know. So something off of these bottles because it truly did help me get kind of off that lifelong soda addiction for the most part.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with promoting something you like, though.
Yeah, and that's all it is. It's basically the way I describe it to anybody in the stream is it's for my streamers. It's for anybody who watches this. Use the code Nerditude. It is active. Get yourself 15% off. Go to infuseyourlife.com. And that if you're like me, or if you just like water and you're looking for a bottle that you don't have to deal with staining with because when you mix this shit, these flavors will stain the shit out of your skin. I accidentally missed. I didn't realize I was pouring it into the lid, and I had fruit punch, right? And I missed the lid a little, and it went all over my hand, and then and I didn't realize it went on my ankle. So later on, I looked down, and I'm like, where am I bleeding from? Because I'm looking at my ankle, like my hands I knew about, but I didn't realize, and I'm like, where is this blood coming from? And then I realized, like, dipshit, it was your fruit punch flavoring, and they've got red dye of death built into that shit.
It's even worse when you just get the flavoring in your mouth. It's like eating uranium. It's just like
it's so concentrated, where it's like you're literally chugging a bottle to dilute what's already been sucked into your fucking skin lining. Yeah,
does your face go like? Does your face go?
Oh yeah,
starts
like
to shrink.
Hole, yeah.
like if you had COVID symptoms and you couldn't taste or smell before, it's the smelling salts of flavorings. Pop some of that shit in your mouth. It'll reactivate that whole region. But no, I
Kickstart it.
But yeah, no, they not a financial supporter, but a great product, so we support them. Once again, use my code, get yourself 50% off any one of their vessels, as they call them, or infused systems.
Vessels.
But yeah, anything else we need to wrap up with?
No, I mean, this is our technically our week back, so we're just ready to get back in the full swing of things. Like I said, we're going to be trying out some new stuff on the channel, and like I've said before, like your guys's critique, opinions, any ideas, let us know. We're open to try new stuff. We just want to have a lot more fun. Like we just want to be more creative this year. We like doing the movie reviews. We feel like you guys like the movie reviews, but we'd like to try some new stuff, and whether that be table reads or small skits. We just want to branch out and do as much cool shit as possible, and that's why we do love the live shows that you guys participate in. And we're gonna keep that format too of doing live shows so we can interact with you guys as well.
Do you think you're gonna get your show started in February? Cat Hour with Lewis.
It's just me sitting around with my kitty cats.
Lewis's Pussy Hour.
Lewis and Pussies. It's like a variety game show.
Yeah, if we could do Getting Fried with Matt, and Alex hasn't had a beer since last year, which you're running out of time because as soon as January.
Great. Hey, trademark that.
As soon as January or February 1st hits, we can't do that show until next year again.
Yeah.
All right, so we will be back with you guys next week with Spree and Tenet. We'll tweet that out and put it on the Facebook as well, just in case people don't see this right away. But
the gram.
Yeah. So until next time, you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you for being with us, and see you soon.
See you next week.